Hello there. It is indeed another year, and it seems like we're not getting out of this twilight zone for a while, but it's not going to stop most people, thankfully, and that's including myself. When it comes down to it, the idea of New Year's is just very interesting because we've come up with this hullabaloo of celebration for something that is literally man-made. Yeah, science is there. The sun rotates and that's what happens. The whole notion of New Year's is literally because we have, as a planet, made a whole, and there's fireworks of course, we have made a whole cycle around the sun, and that's what they count as a year. But that's literally scientists and people and humans in general just deciding on this notion. It's what they created, it's what they made up with. So the idea of New Year's is just very interesting to look back in that context because it's really not real. Nothing is really real. When you're thinking about it, it's time itself. That's always the question that everyone has, and always the discussion that everyone has too, that time isn't really real, it's what we've made up and we just go along with it. But I think there's a beauty to it too, where because we have these specific deadlines, even though they're all imaginary and they really don't exist, to keep myself on track, because that's certainly what I do. I have done that the last couple of years, and I've always made lists to keep myself on track. For the last couple of years, I have kept a list of goals that I want to complete for the entire year. So they're not really New Year's goals in a sense to me, but it's okay, here's what I want to do, here's what I want to accomplish. And I think that has worked a lot better. So I don't have that pressure to work out every single day, and then when I fall off and forget a day, or if I'm really not feeling well and I just can't move, because you know everything happens like that, I don't feel like I'm punishing myself. And I am glad I have that mindset where, okay, this is fine, we didn't do it today, we'll pick it back up tomorrow. As long as we reach the goal in a year, you're doing well. Even though there are still things on my list that haven't got done after a couple of years, the list always gets smaller and smaller with previous goals being completed, and then I add on new ones. So it's always changing, it's always refreshing, and I think that's always important to still look to see what you've done. A lot of my goals in the last couple of years have been focused on organizing and cleaning, because I've done things like that. I've cleaned up my shoes, I've decluttered, I've tried to be more minimalistic. A lot of my goals are now back to creating again, which is something that has always been very important to me, and I'm so happy that I can put it back on the front lines. I can see what I have done, and my main goal for everything is to be able to have a list of goals that's maybe 1 to 2 of each year, or not have a list at all. I want to be able to get to that point where I have gotten everything completed for the time being, that I don't have anything to add, and I can sit back and relax and know that I've completed everything that I've wanted to do for the time being. And it's always interesting to look at the notion of New Year's and New Year's goals, that it's such a huge marketing tool for people to be better, but a lot of the time it's the media telling people you need to be better, you have to lose the weight, you have to get smarter, you have to do this. And there's always such a flood of commercials with weight loss for marketing. Even now with the internet, we have all these ads about losing weight, exercising more, and yeah, it's an important goal to do depending on the person and how in shape you are. Honestly, that is one of my goals this year too, but it's not the end all be all. And I think that's what a lot of people focus on for New Year's is, oh, we have to make sure that you're in the best shape ever, you're gonna cook healthy, you're gonna do all of this jazz. And again, I'm personally doing it this year, but it's also because we've also been going through this whole panoramic together, and it's been harder to stay active all the time. And I know a lot of people do, but life in general, I've learned it's easier to sit around than move. And of course, that's not the only New Year's goal. You have tons. You have things like going back to school. You have getting more education. Some people are They have goals to write a book. And it can be anything and everything. It could be learning a new language, and everything's great. So I know it does give a good reset to kind of start over and reinvent yourself. And I really like the idea of that because I think that's what everyone's doing. Personally, I came up with a couple of daily goals for myself, which are the daily goals I had last year, which I did not do, so everything's delayed, but we're gonna make it happen. And honestly, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard, but we're just so attached to our phones, myself included, especially at night, that I want to be able to get rid of that habit and start reading again. I have a giant pile of books that I've not read, and a lot of books that I still haven't read in a long time that I would like to reread, and it hasn't happened yet. So I'm putting it out there to make it happen. I have the basic stuff on there. I have working out, I have stretching, I have reading, I have studying my tarot because I've been terrible at it and I barely use my cards, and I love my cards. My collection is amazing and I need to get back into that more, as well as being able to study more in general about witchcraft and Wicca, and just teaching myself and learning the knowledge and being able to open up more to different cultures and worlds, and just not being so confined anymore. But at the same time, I also have stuff on there like completing my entire Netflix watch list, because I have over 80 films and shows that I have half watched, and some of them don't even finish, and I want to be able to sit back and relax. So it's all about balance. Personally, I think that's the most important thing, is balance. Being able to have your days where you're productive, where you're motivated, and you're getting a lot done, but also knowing when to sit back and relax and enjoy a nice drink or enjoy a movie and a show, and just being able to relax. Because there's too much of this world that works way too much. Who knows how this year is gonna go? No one has known the last couple of years how the years has gone. And there's been ups and downs with everything. We have been getting back to a little bit of normalcy, but then it keeps crashing again. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I had stuff planned out for years that I'm still waiting to go to, and it would be nice if it happened this year, but if it doesn't, I understand. If it does happen though, I'll be able to share it here because it's concerts that I miss dearly, and I've had tickets for some certain shows for literally years now. I got My Chemical Romance tickets back in 2020 in the beginning of it, so I've been holding on to those tickets for over 2 years. And I can't wait till I can actually see them in person again, even though they're not even that great a seat. I will be happy. We don't know how this year's gonna go, but here's to 2022, an obligatory New Year's video as always. But I'm excited to see what the future holds. I'm trying to stay positive about it with this whole mess that we're in. We're here to have fun, we're here to create, and we have a lot of stuff to uncover. So cheers to that. Until then, we'll see you in the next one.